Hey there, guys. Look at Danielle. She is actually drinking her water, holding it up. I think you're actually frozen, girl. Is that on my end? Or are you good? You're frozen. Oh, can you hear? I was like, oh my God, I think we're already having bandwidth issues. All right, for anyone watching.
Yeah, I think it's like freezing.
I know that's what it was doing. I'm like, do I need to move to a different part of my house? But you know what? We'll just hope that it will completely work out. I wanted to have you here today, and I'm so thankful that you were like, yeah, I'll meet you on a Sunday, because I know a lot of coaches were like yourself, where you knew exactly who you wanted to serve. You were clear on it. I mean, even from the day one that we talked, but there was like feeling a little stuck in how to get that visibility built. So I wanted you to share just a little of what happened, even in this last like few months where I've watched you just come in and say, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. So can you share to that coach that feels like I'm doing everything and it's not working, what you found worked for you?
Well, one, of course, you've already said it, and that is getting super duper clear on who I want to serve and just that person. Um, and that was really hard because you want to help everybody, right? You're a brand new coach, and you're like, I have all this great knowledge, and I can save the world, and that's great. But you can't save the world unless the world knows you're like there. We can do it. So getting super duper clear, I said, I'm going to focus on them with. First, I said Hashimoto's. Now it's more broadly like thyroid issues because often people don't know if it's Hashimoto's, and then people come to me with Graves and Hashimoto's, and so, but it was thyroid issues. But then again, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I had the skills, but how do I get it out there? And for me, it was really two things that were so clear. One is figuring out which social media platform was going to work for me and my personality. So we have this idea like you must be on Instagram. No, you have to be on Twitter. No, it must be Facebook. And for me, it was TikTok. Which is really funny because, of course, when somebody first said it, I was like, isn't that where 13-year-olds hang out? Like my daughter's on TikTok. um, but I do well with video. I'm very much like a teacher type. So it ended up like, yeah, I post something occasionally on Instagram and I have a Facebook group, but I really focus in one place where that really fits my skills.
Your medium.
And that is but my medium, exactly. And that is speaking of video. I know for some people, they'd like rather cut off their arm. And in that case, find a medium that works for you. I'm not a very visual person. So like Instagram was really stressful. How do I make like cute little memes? I don't know. I'm not a graphic designer. So really finding my thing and just focusing and being like, yeah, okay, I'll take a couple of pictures and put them on Instagram occasionally. But deciding that I did not have to worry about the other ones and I just had to get really good on one made a huge difference because then I could get good at it. That was really big.
One question, even so I can go back to just, you brought up something right away. I was like, okay, I've got to like ask her about this because we all say, oh, I niche down. I polarized down. That's when everything changed. But if I were to say, from what I'm hearing, is that in the beginning it was general thyroid. And what you then niche down is you said, I'm going to focus on Hashimoto's. And in that clarity, did you feel like you also started attracting other people? Did you have to use the same thyroid message? So how did you refine and niche down? And then how have you blended in, speaking about these other areas, where do you not talk about Graves? And I know you talk thyroid and Hashimoto's.
So the funny thing is also we have this idea if we niche down, like nobody else will find us. And the fact is niching down also just makes it easier for you to hone your message, but you don't even realize that other people will find you. Like I was just talking Hashimoto's and then people with Graves came to me and I was like, well, I guess that is a thyroid autoimmune disorder. I'll do that. And then people said, well, actually I had a partial thyroidectomy. Can you talk to me? And I was like, well, yeah, okay. Still, we're going to talk about inflammation. And I have nodules in my thyroid. I was like, well, okay, that's still. So like once I started talking about something that I was confident about and comfortable with, other people find you and they say, hey, I still want to be part of this with you. So that I figured out what my client, like how my clients want to talk about their thyroid issues. Like just have to start somewhere,
Well,
and
I
then your
think you
clients
said
will tell
something,
you
I
what
mean,
how they
brilliant.
want to talk about.
I think the part that you said that's like, even as you were saying it, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever heard somebody explain it that clearly. And I can definitely tell your mode is a teaching mode, because even in how you explained, you said, once I started to really say, I'm going to focus on Hashimoto's, people who have, of course, autoimmune conditions are going to instantaneously reach out and say, well, if she works with Hashimoto's, let me see if Graves. Does she work with, this other? And so you niche down, you solo focus, but you're still in an expansion as long as they're your ideal client. My
Thing is that niching down is really for you. I mean, and I don't mean that. It helps you hone your messages and know who to talk to and know the language that they use. But once I start talking about this, like I talk about autoimmune thyroid disorders, and people come onto my TikToks all the time with other autoimmune disorders. Like this one's talking about lupus, this one's talking about, alopecia, and this one's talking about rheumatoid arthritis. But they're still like, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but I can talk to them about how autoimmunity works in the body. So we get this idea that somehow when we niche down, we're like slamming the door at other people's faces, and it's not at all. It's just there's only so many hours in a day. Like you need to come up with a message. And the fact is, I mean, thyroid disorders, I could work on that to the end of time. There are so many problems there.
I'm like, maybe I should hire you right after this.
Right. But also the other thing you realize is that when we're talking, I mean, because our bodies are so complex, especially when you're with women with so many interrelated hormone issues, you're never talking to somebody just about a thyroid issue. Right? I mean, this again, thyroid and PCOS, thyroid and infertility, thyroid and menopause, thyroid and so there's so
You're hitting
many other
everything in the
issues.
endocrine system, all the layers.
Yeah, it's all going to come together. So once I niched down, I was able to get really clear. And also part of the reason why I niched down with Hashimoto's is I have Hashimoto's. I was like, I have that, I can tell the whole story of like, I probably started having symptoms, at 23, but wasn't diagnosed as hypothyroid until 33. I wasn't diagnosed with Hashimoto's until like 45 or something. I know the whole, it's a mystery. What do I have? So I can relate to my clients very much in that way. Um, so that's why it was a huge passion for me, and people hear it. It's a passion for me. But the other thing I think that's so important in social media, and especially for me, and was in TikTok, is that, and it's so funny because we're told this all the time: just be yourself. Um, but especially like TikTok's kind of this new. It's really a year old for the over 12 crowd, and maybe a year and a half, and it's at the point where it's really all about authenticity. Like
Yeah.
it's about vulnerability. It's not, there are people who do the cute
Yeah.
dances and they're like really polished. Most people are like, here I am, no makeup, drinking my coffee. I'm a hot mess mom. And that's that medium. And the other ones, I felt like I am a hot mess mom. Like I am not like I'm wearing
Raise your
lipstick. It's
hand.
about as
Right.
good as it gets.
But
I
I
think I
love that
swiped a little, because I'm feeling fancy today.
well, and I love that you're even sharing that, because I do think that, and I just talked to a client, and she's like, I just need help because I hear all these different things from all these different people. You need to do this. You need to do this. And I love that you are reaffirming what I would say is that breakthrough that most of us have after the 1.5 year struggle, like where you know who you want to help, you feel overwhelmed, you're trying everything, you're fried, exhausted, and then you're like, I am going to really just figure out the best place for me to show up, talk to my ideal client in that place, get super specific, and like stop doubting.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It was also that, you know, the whole idea of we also so like I need to be really perfect and I need to say all the right things and I need to be and I realized what the funny thing is like on TikTok, things can go viral or things can get big. Like the video that I have that literally has the most views. I mean, like 250,000 views is like there's this little meme where you say like somebody saying, "Yup, nope, yup, nope" in the background. That's it. And you like, and I point to something, I go, "Nope, yup, no," and that's it. Like I am literally talking about 4 steps to reverse symptoms and lose weight. That's it. Like there's nothing, I'm not even talking, I'm not dancing. I'm literally pointing like this. And it's the most popular one because it's just really simple. Yes, there are 4 basic steps that eliminate trigger foods, and the little acronym I use now for my program is energy, ENRG, because people with hypothyroidism need energy. Eliminate trigger foods, nourish your body with healthy foods, rest and restore, and gently exercise. And like, that's it. There's 4 steps. It's really simple. I just boiled it down. Um, and it's very, like you're saying, like we have this, this, oh, what do I do? And I need to, the thing I had, so I was certified in the end of 2019 and I was ready, okay, 2020, and then COVID hit. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? So everything was like on hold for about a year as my head spun and the whole world, was trying to figure things out. And then January 2021 came and I was like, well, I have this like certification and I need to like have a career again. So I need to do something. And the thing also, I think people don't realize about social media, we have this idea as soon as we go up on Instagram, the whole world's going to see us fall on our face. The whole world isn't watching you. Like I had like 25 Instagram followers. I could have, on Super Bowl Sunday, I had 60 TikTok followers, 60. Yeah, I made a couple of stupid videos. Nobody saw them. Nobody cares. Like we think like somehow people are waiting for us to mess up, and they're not. They really aren't. Like,
when I remember back, I think I met you winter 2019 in November.
I was still in my coaching program. I was still
Yeah.
baby coach.
when you look at making that decision, and just saying, okay, I'm going to start this. I'm not going to, I'm going to just do it scared. What did you go into did you go into the materials that you bought from us? Like, what were the action steps? Because I hear a lot of people saying, I don't know what to do each day. I don't know how to show up. I don't know what to say. What was kind of your process? Because I think that's the whole part of visibility. It does take a lot of time to show up. I mean, it takes a lot of, I would say, creative energy. And so what was that process for you in saying, this is how I'm going to show up? Did you plan, this is the freebie I'm leading them to, then this is the program? Can you take me through that process?
Yeah. So, well, it's funny you say plan. Well, one thing I also learned in the last year is I have ADHD. So planning is really like, we put big quotes around that word, planning.
That's me. I'm like, are we sisters?
Okay, well, I printed out a calendar and didn't do any of it. It looked good and I highlighted it and everything, and then it's just been sitting here for the whole month. So, but I think it really was like, again, realizing that like you have, there are people have done this. First of all, they've done it. I don't need to make it up. I can follow other people's footsteps. You're like, the thing that people need to realize is when you buy something from your, done for you programs, it's like you get the password to like the inner sanctum, and there's all these like teaching materials you have, which was amazing. Like I would have bought anything just to get in there, but I ended up I bought things that were really useful, but I didn't even realize like once I had that, you laid it out. Here's what a launch looks like. Here's how you can use the tools. Here, I didn't have to invent it. Like people have done this before, so that was really, really helpful. And then, so I thought, okay, a challenge. I like the idea of a 5-day challenge because, you can do freebies, people do blogging, but I know for me, again, I am very much the hands-on, like the kind of teacher type, the video. Like I know most people hate public speaking. I'd much rather do public speaking than, do like a ton of blog posts. I like writing, but I will wait forever to do. I'll never get to the blog posts. I just know myself too well. So I was like, okay, a challenge is like an audition. Literally, people are they're going to get emails to me in their inbox every day. And then they're going to come to the Facebook group and I'm going to do a live. And they are literally going to how I act as a coach. That's why TikTok is so
they're
powerful.
They're going to feel that. I love that you just said that.
If I send somebody like a
Because,
Yeah, because I mean, for me, TikTok is so great. I know we have a delay.
I'm going to, the part
You
that
know,
the,
it's like a,
no.
okay, you go.
I know. I'm like, one of us is on a delay. I feel like I'm watching like satellite TV. The part that I want to even just touch on about the challenge, because I've had a lot of coaches who have said the same thing. They're like, I don't know why people like overthink this process, because I took that and I started showing up, doing that challenge, taking people through that experience so that they could actually like feel what that transformation is like. And so I just want to, I love that you shared that, because it doesn't have to be complicated. If you're going live each day, they're going to get a taste of you, and it's going to nourish them to be like, wow, she's pretty amazing.
Right. And that's exactly it. And the thing I do TikTok lives. And I also realize like people are sometimes really nervous about coaching. And I know this for me is like, well, what if somebody wants to be like a client of mine, but we don't click, or she's my, you know, this person, like my style isn't right for them. Well, when I go live on Facebook, they get to see me. If,
Yeah.
I mean, when I go on TikTok, like I kind of have a pretty in your face kind of attitude. Like I'm a scientist. I'm very nerdy. Like, I'm totally gonna. I'll be like, there were 3 studies in 2019. Like that's just who I am. So I'm 25 as a scientist. So like I want to coach really. Um, but also I also get very like, right, you know, kind of, you know, I have these little videos of like, here are stupid ass things that doctors tell high profile women. Like, you know, like I just, that's your thing. Go. Um, you, I feel like it's oops, I'm seeing like, do we have a good connection? Because you just froze. Okay, now we both get back.
I know. Is it
But
me
like
or
I feel
on?
like by, you know, my style. No, I think I've got an okay connection. I can't tell. I actually no, I think it's okay because I actually have a router in my office here now. um, but I feel like it's you know, I was kind of nervous about like, what if I can't do it, or what if they don't like me, or what if they see me on Facebook, they see me on TikTok, you know, people are like, oh my god, I love your style. Great, then I'm your coach. Then that's the right person for me. And so the challenge also gave me an opportunity to feel like I am giving people, I am giving them something. They're seeing how I work. I also didn't want people to come to me and be like, great, solve my thyroid issues. And I'll be like, okay, here's all the things you need to eliminate. Oh, but I'm not willing to give up gluten. Well, then I'm not the person to talk to,
I love
because
that.
eliminate since 2007. So if some want to do that, okay, that's fine. But I'm not their coach, because that's what I'm going to talk to you about. So by doing the challenge, 5 days of like, here's what we're eating, here's what we're not eating. If you're like, this doesn't work for me, okay, great. That I'm not your
Well, I
coach.
think that's
You know,
such a
and
great.
so I just felt
This is making
I
me laugh.
am going to see so my router is on. I'm going to make sure my router. I'm noticing my internet is.
I I'm like, you know what?
Because I can see talk.
Somebody's gonna have to pull out these blooper moments.
Okay, it's on.
And if not, I will
because
move.
it's just yeah, right. One of us. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know why it's saying that, because my router's on. I mean, my repeater's right here in the office. But it really, I think that giving people the sense of like, I was going to give them a lot of quality. I was going to give them a lot of value right up front. And then I also didn't feel like I mean, I do TikTok lives. I always swear I'm going to be on for an hour. And then like 2 hours and 45 minutes later, my kids are like, are you going to finish before dinner? Like, what? I've been doing this for 3 hours. What? Like, because I feel like I get really passionate about answering people's questions.
Mm.
And so when that happens, when somebody calls me, also give me a lot more confidence in being like, this is my price. Because if you're not comfortable with that price, here's all the free. I'm not going to kick you out of my Facebook group. You can be on the TikTok live till the, you know, end of time. and next time I have a challenge and you're in, and I'm actually building a group program now that's going to have like 25 or 30 people in it. Um, but the fact that I give away so much makes me feel so much more comfortable also about charging, because I'm like, here's all the free, you can have it all. And one of that was that's so I was going to do the live the challenge. So end of January, I'm like, I just have to jump in. I have to do something. Like, I need to kick off this career already. No, with COVID, it's locked down for a year. And so I decided to do the live. I put it up, I put something on Instagram and started telling my friends and, whatever, Facebook and so on. And I have literally, like, I have my desk here, my little standing desk with like a row of books like this on thyroid issues, and behind me, all my books here. Right. So I could write a 5-day challenge, but there were so many other things that I was like, I can't, like, I need something to bounce off of. Like, I needed something to revise rather than something to invent. I could not wrap my head around writing at all. And that's where that thyroid weight loss program came in. That was so great because, yes, I tweaked it because I needed it to be in my voice and, like, I'm going to add my favorite XYZ recipe. But having the framework was so helpful. Here's the 5 days. And I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of putting in a cute little chart or whatever. Like, it just, like, somebody else figured out a nice font. Like, I don't want to think about font. I want to think about thyroid challenges, right? Like, so it was really helpful to just have the thing to even think, okay, here's a picture. I think I'm going to try this picture instead. Or, so that was really, really just to
Having the
have it. It took
framework.
me like a day to have the framework, that done
Yeah.
for you program. It took me like a day or so to revise it, as opposed to like an entire week to just invent it from scratch. Like, if I
And
had
then
to
be
make
tired,
it
and
just,
then let alone the energy. So
oh yeah,
define this,
totally.
because I am a person that learned a long time ago. While everyone was like, oh no, don't give a lot away for free. You want to then charge your worth. I was like, I'm so jaded with my health issues. It takes a lot for me to build trust to hire somebody. And I think that
Oh yeah.
anybody who is, no matter what niche, but if you're overwhelmed and you're stressed and you just are thinking that it's not going to work again because you had your own past experiences. I love that you've shared this, because I feel that the biggest mistake coaches make is they're not showing enough in that visible way. They're like sitting with that perfect plan. Maybe it's our ADHD
Right.
superpowers. They're saying with the perfect plan and they're like, nobody came to my workshop. Well, you haven't shown up for a month. You've spent all this energy focusing on this one workshop instead of showing up consistently and educating. So can you talk about the types of free content that when you're like, I give a lot of value, just so coaches have an
Oh yeah.
understanding.
So, oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, the 5-day challenge. I mean, I literally show up as a coach for 5 days. They get, an email like this long in their mailbox. And then there's a Facebook Live. Last time I did it all 5 days, this time I was like, Friday night, I think I'm not doing a live. So I did it 4 days in a row. But I literally show up on TikTok. Like I said, I have never managed to do a 1 hour TikTok live. There was like 2 hours, 3 hours, like they're, because I have literally had every single symptom. I am like the poster child for everything that could go wrong with your thyroid. Everything from the brain fog and the digestive issues and the skin issues to the infertility and the miscarriages, you name it. So somebody comes to me, I'm like, I've had that problem.
I've been down that hellish road. And I think, would you say that those lives, because I know somebody might say, wow, I mean, that's a lot of time showing up. But I think the part that I learned very early on is that when there are multifaceted health issues, which the majority of the world has, you really do need to help somebody and educate a lot on what the symptoms are, what they may not even be knowing, let alone that actual diagnosis part and everything in between. Do you find that showing up in those lives allow you to not only be yourself, but to educate and really build that trust? Are you teaching from anything, or are you just kind of speaking from your heart?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, the thing that I think I'm like, I'm in this little like group of health coaches. Like we have our little like Discord community, and we all chat. And the thing that's I keep having to remember now, I finally get, people are not paying for knowledge. If they want, you can buy a book. Somebody I have learned out of a book, most of which are available on Amazon. Or you could like read PubMed yourself if if you're a nerd like me, you can go into the journals. What they're paying us for is our approach to it, is our delivery, is our guidance, is our support. Like, you're not going to get that from anybody else except you, your flavor and your style and your. So the idea that you're giving it away, I mean, like it's in all these books, the top shelf, those are library books. So the library's giving it away too. Like, you don't have to pay a dime, but nobody wants to read all those books because those books don't translate. They don't interpret. They don't hold your hand. They don't give you emotional support. They don't explain why this and not that.
Well,
so
and
you can't give it away.
It's just like what you. Well, and I think it's just to say this again for anybody listening. It's like you just nailed it when you said, I have to remind myself that people are coming to me for the way that I see it. And I just said to a client who is in what I call the ownership struggle, where she's like, it's got to be perfect. I mean, I don't know if it's this right offer, and I want the workshop to be perfect. And I said to her, oh, she said, because there's so many other specialists just like that, just like me. And I said, but they're not you. That's the shift that is when I think we are in that first year to year, sometimes some longer than others, where it's like, what is that part of ownership where you see, wow, I've had this vast experiences. There's somebody exactly like me in this world, and they would only hire me. And how am I going to show up to build that trust with this person? Because I definitely went through this with my own perspective, with things that I wish were in all these different books, and I'm putting them all into one system that is specific, even if you're using content where you're revising.
Exactly. And that's exactly, it really is your, like I said, I mean, I am, and when I first got on TikTok, I'm like, okay, who else is here doing this, thyroid stuff? And there's a couple of people I follow, because they're doing great work, but we are completely different. I mean, completely different people. I'm going to be 52 in June. I have a master's degree in oceanography and spent 20 years doing like environmental science before I came to this field. I can guarantee there are no other thyroid health coaches with oceanography degrees. So, but also I bring that very nerdy science perspective. And it's not that I'm going to geek out on everybody and make them, remember high school chemistry, but I am really going to be I'm doing this because I've looked into the research and this is what it says to me. And, I will, if you look at my TikToks, like some people are doing cute little videos and some people I keep trying to remember because people ask me for certain content. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably do like a what I eat in a day, because I'm like, well, here are the 4 primary reasons why you're still having symptoms, and not, like according to scientific literature, like I'm such a nerd, and if that doesn't speak to you,
then I'm not your coach.
I'm not right, exactly. So, but also my passion, and literally even the other thing that I really, really want coaches to understand, and I think you've talked about this a little bit, like in some of your podcasts or some of your guests, is that so many of us come from other careers, and we think we're closing the door on that career and starting a new one. And you're the same person, and you are bringing every skill. Like this was something I really had to learn, because you think, oh, I'm starting from square one.
Yeah. No joke. I'm like, are you reading my mind today? This was exactly the conversation. I said, why do we think it's a totally different practice? Like, why do we think I'm not going to be able to build this? You had a baby, you brought up a child, you've done so many things, you've worked, it's just like, this is another extension.
Especially because it's people work. It like literally, yeah, exactly. My kids, when my son was an infant, I figured out my food allergies because the poor kid was like, he had all the rashes, and I was like, oh, that's probably coming from me and my breast milk and what. And that's when I started exploring food allergies and autoimmunity and all this stuff. And so if you figured it out for yourself, you can help another parent. And if you've done whatever job you've done before, if you were, you bring that with you. And for me, people are like, environmental science. Well, actually, yes, I worked in environmental science, but my passion always, 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 and I remember literally putting this on like my graduate school, like, or my grad fellowship application, was literally making complex scientific ideas interesting, accessible, and relevant to the everyday person. And that's what I love to do. I have literally done it for 20, like I literally live near, like I was with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the folks who bring you like the weather service. And even that, my years with them, that's what I did. It was always translating science, whether it was for like state people, whether it was on Capitol Hill, whether it was, that's what I love to do, is translating science so that it's interesting and relevant and people can use it. That's what I do as a health coach. Not because that's what all health coaches have to do, but because that's been my passion for 20 years. If you're an artist and your passion is graphics and visuals, then make like infographics and Instagram, like visuals that help people learn, or great PowerPoints. Whatever your thing is, you're not a new person. You're bringing 25 years of whatever brilliance you had before into this field. Like, just bring it with you. And that really, I had to understand, like, oh, that's right.
That's a mindset shift. I think that's one of the toughest things. And I think that I know I try to talk about like the anxiety that I've had and just like overwhelm, but the part that it's hard to kind of like really bring somebody into that day is how many times you have to say to yourself, I am not going to, compare myself to anyone else. I'm not going to doubt this process. I know that I'm bringing something really special, and refining that so that you get to a point where like, I am going to be of service. It's not anymore like, is somebody going to hire me? Is somebody going to pay the price? It's like, I'm going to be of service and I'm going to show up. And that I really feel is when we have a shift where that worrying about like, what are people going to think? The ego, that pride, it just goes away. It moves into a really healthy place of, oh yeah, I am the best thyroid expert and Hashimoto's for this ideal client, but it's something that I think a lot of people don't get to. And I love that you really explained like just your process of stepping into that power.
And what's funny is that, I mean, the thing that's amazing is you just can't even believe what happens when you do. So I said, like in January, I said, okay, I got to do this. Like I was terrified, by the way, of doing a challenge. I thought nobody's gonna show up. I'm not gonna know what to do. I don't know what to say. Like I just was like, I don't even know what challenge. Like what is this? How do I
even do one?
do this right? And people are like, oh, you should, of course, you're gonna write the emails. All you need to do is really challenge just 5 emails, frankly, and you can also do Facebook Lives if you want. So people are like, oh, of course, well, you write the emails ahead of time. I was like, you do? I literally wrote each one the night before. Like I was so like, I don't know what to say, that I was like literally showing the night before. I'm probably not supposed to do that, but like the night before, I'm like, okay, what's tomorrow email going to be? So I wrote these emails and I was like, okay, so I got people. So I know lots of women. I didn't know that I knew women until I put it on Facebook, and they're like, I have it and I have it and I have it. It's like 5% of like all adults in the United States have Hashimoto, are diagnosed with Hashimoto. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I entered Instagram. I was, I have like, I don't know, I had 100 followers or something on Instagram. I'm sure half of them were like friends of mine. So I got 35 people into my first challenge, and I had a little Facebook group, and it was like crickets for the Facebook group. But people would show up to the lives; they like lives. So I was like, all right, just kept plugging along. I was doing it, and then so I did the challenge. And then, and then somebody said, you should try TikTok. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll try, sure. And then I did meet a health coach who was killing it on TikTok, and she convinced me, and I was like, okay. And she does weight loss for women 40 and above, and she's 53 herself. And I was like, she had like 90,000 followers. I was like, okay, cool, I'll try it. And I literally was just like, let me study her TikTok and figure out how TikTok works. So I started doing that. And what I did was I took the 5-day challenge. So I've done the 5-day challenge live, and then I took the materials and turned them into an evergreen freebie and said, here's a 5-day, then it became a 5-day meal plan. And And I put on my like MailChimp landing page. I mean, all of this was like duct taped together, like MailChimp, and I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I made a freebie and said on the page, I'm going to run this live again. And if you sign up here, you'll be on the, you'll know when registration opens again. But in the meantime, here's an example of how to eat this way.
Oh my God.
And it's really a sample of how this kind of eating works. And again, if you're like, nah, I can't give up gluten, or like, for example, there's people who are plant-based, vegan. I respect that, but I'm not your coach because I was a vegetarian for 23 years. And frankly, eating meat is what brought me back to health. I'm not going to tell everybody they need to do that. But if you're going to work with me, I don't know a good vegan protein for you because that's not my answer. I'm going to suggest you find somebody else. And best of luck.
No shame for playing.
No hard feelings. Yeah, no hard feelings. It's just I can't help you because I don't have that experience and I don't feel confident in what I tell you. I need to feel like, I need to believe in it and know that I have the experience to back it up. So I want it's like showing people here's what I do. So I made it evergreen and I just put a link to it on my Facebook page. I mean on my website. And then I had just I migrated to MailerLite. And then so I just had a place where you can download it. And then I started going on TikTok, and in my bio, I had, free 5-day challenge, and people would say, how do you eat this way? And I'd say, I have this 5-day, just get it from my bio. People begging for it, basically. Begging, like, do you have any recipes? Do you have any meal plans? I'm like, well, I have this whole pantry list, and here's 5 days worth of recipes. And, and my mailing list went like this. I literally started with MailerLite with MailChimp, 0, and had like 35 by the end of my first challenge. And now I'm like, no, what is it? I can tell you right now, like just from using this freebie and so on, I have almost 1,300 people on my mailing list in 8 weeks or something, less than 8.
Without even paid traffic.
No, nothing, 0. Just, I would do a TikTok live and people would say, do you have any, like, how do I eat this way? Because especially when you're talking about autoimmunity, we're talking about people who have thyroid issues, the first thing they hear is there's stuff I should and shouldn't eat, but what should I don't know what to eat. I don't, So I was like, well, here's a freebie. And it's 5 days of meals and a pantry list and and I put in all my nerdy stuff up front about, your autoimmunity and, so it's a little like, here's the guide that the doctor should give you when you walk out. Here's what autoimmunity is, and here's why.
And here's a taste of what it's going to be like to roll with me.
And to roll with me and to really and also I put in there, like, I've had all the symptoms and you see how energetic I am. You want this? This is
come get it.
The only way I know. Not the only way to do it. Not the only way. Maybe there's other ways, but it's the only way I know. So then people kept saying, when are you gonna do the next challenge? When are you gonna do the challenge? And I was like, March. I'll do it in March. I'm like, okay. So then my mailing list had 200 people on it. Maybe I had 250 people. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. It's working. So I'll keep doing this. And then I said, okay, I need time, but I frankly needed to finish it before Passover. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do my 5-day challenge in the middle of March. So I said, fine, it's going to be March 5th, 15th and 19th. And I just started saying it on TikTok and I put it in my bio and I just kept saying, like, there's a free thing. And now like I said, I have almost 1,300 people on my mailing list and 700 and people are still signing up for the challenge. I'm like, it's over, right? Like, I'm just looking here. I have 745 people who signed up and I had 35 2 months ago. And now I have 745. And it was because I was given, and it's not, people think if you give something away for free, people will never pay for it. Yeah, there are some people like that. And you know what? I had a heartbreaking conversation with somebody yesterday who I can't help because I actually think she has type 1 diabetes. She has no health insurance. Like, yes, I want to give stuff away for free. There are some people who need it and literally can't afford it.
Yeah.
But I can't afford to give away my coaching 24 hours a day for free. Something needs to keep these lights on. But I'd like to be like, no, I can't get away for free. I mean, it's so cliche, but it really does come back. I mean, I said, I'm giving this away for free, 750 people. And then like in my face, I just started this new program that starts April 12th. It's called Thyroid Energy Recovery Program. It's going to be limited to 25, maybe 30 people. And and it's so I was like, okay, I literally just announced it in a Facebook Live and 3 people signed up by the end of the live. I was like, like it's a good, I put
What
up
did
my
you
like
use for that framework? What did you use for that
so
framework?
I'm still kind of making that up.
So you're making up that
I'm gonna
in
start
your
digging
head,
into
you're
like
making
what
up the
do you
group.
have on hormone recovery. Like what is Rachel have? Well, I also have your grain-free paleo rockstar thing. So that's the one I bought last fall
Mhm.
or fall 2019. So I'm digging into that. I use some of the images from my challenge and and some of the because mine is very much paleo based. I am, I don't know, I guess that little like funny shape there is actually my Primal Health Coaching Institute sticker. Like I'm very paleo. So I'll be digging into those materials too, as like a so often like it's blending, right? It's not, we know like the principles
Not
of
just
healthy eating,
one thing.
eating.
What, tell me,
Right.
with your current offers that you have, are you working with people one-on-one? I know you're launching this group in April. What is
So
currently
I
happening?
have, yeah. So I have 5 paid clients. I just signed the 5th yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. Um, yeah, I had nothing. It's just it's so crazy to me. Like I had no social media presence. I had no clients. I had nothing, no mailing list, and no plan. Also, by the way, early January, and yeah, now and now I have 5 paid clients, and one signed up for 6 months. She's like, I'm in it for long haul. Where do I sign up?
Right.
One's for 4 months. Some are just, some are because I give a discount for multiple months. A lot are like, can I just start with one and keep rolling it over? And I was like, okay, sure. I even raised my rates this month, and they're like, sure, I'll sign up. I'm like, okay. And I have a call tomorrow or 2 calls this week with prospective clients. Um, but I actually do want to move. I know. I think the bulk of my work is going to end up being in group coaching, just because there's just only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
Um, and also because what I'll probably end up doing, there'll be some people who just literally can't do the group. It just maybe it's not their way of learning or their schedule is different. Doesn't accommodate it, or their situation is more complex. Like,
Mm,
but for
yep.
most people, so I decided to do the group is that overwhelmingly most people really do need to walk through the same I'm doing 8 weeks. They, get off gluten, get off dairy, get off soy, add these nutrients, This is for your sleep. This is to de-stress. Here's, strength training. Here's yoga, like it's, they need the same thing. So I was like, why not just do it together, and then, and also there's a dynamic to a group that people learn in a different way. So I thought they could support each other in that way. And then after those 8 weeks, after we've gone through the, basics that everybody needs to go, then if they want to do one-on-one coaching, they're in a completely different place.
Yeah.
Or after they've done the 8 weeks, then if their situation needs like more of a functional practitioner to get really, really in the weeds with them, they've already done, like they've saved a ton of money
Yeah. They've gotten
by
found.
learning this stuff with a coach rather than a, $300 visit with a functional doctor. They're fantastic, but they're really expensive. So, so that's why I decided to do the group. And also, frankly, I could take on, financially, it's just going to be, it's like 2/3, like it's definitely cheaper than coaching with me, um, doing the group. And then ultimately when I do it, the group is after I've run it. And because of course I don't have the materials yet. As they go. I'm then going to package it into a do-it-yourself version where you can do an 8-week, and each week, module will unlock, and here's the videos and so on. So that there's different tiers. Here's the do-it-yourself, here's the with the group, and then there's with the group with private coaching on top if you also want that. So that's why I think, probably still keep like, I don't know, 5 to 8 clients, I'm guessing. But I think I'll run the group like 4 times a year or something like that.
I mean, the one,
Like,
and I'm not saying that you need to buy a program by all means. The one that is completely like AIP style, and the one that my hormone writer works for her entire practice is the AIP. And she says the
That's
same.
what I thought. Yeah, I saw that one. That's pretty. I was like, because often a lot of clients don't need to do totally strict AIP, but basically I'm taking them through AIP. Really, that's how I healed. Some of them are not like early on, we don't necessarily take out like all the seed-based spices or
Yeah.
like every single nut. But for the most part, I'm like gluten, dairy, soy, eggs, most grains, like it's, and then,
Declaiming.
oh, we still having a problem? But yeah, I'm like, if you're still having a problem, let's talk about nightshades. If we're still having a problem, let's talk about coffee, like, but it is, um, that's really what it is. It's going to end up being AIP basically, or AIP light or AIP intro or something,
AIP. Yeah. I mean,
because that's,
I love what you're saying even with that, because I think as coaches, and I know you've definitely nailed this part, and I can always hear it when a coach like sees that vision, is what I really hear you clearly is saying, like, this is the process that worked for me. This is how I'm going to run this group. And then sitting there and really looking at where the content then can just fill in. Because the truth is, once you have that just put together, that can be self-paced with a certain amount of sessions, that could be group, that could be, so many different scenarios. And it's really that blend, whether it's AIP or it's really just AIP light or not even a name. Just this is the type of eating that works.
and that's, I think people often think like, what am I going to do when I get like, and this, of course, I thought the same thing. What am I going to do when I get a client? And, it's everything so, specific. And yes, every single client, you are going to talk to them as an individual and, and what are their particular history and so on. But I think also as health coaches, we think that what we're teaching people is really obvious because we're so deep in this, or as people who have gone through it, I know you and I both came to this through our own struggles, that, but most people, like, they're coming out of the conventional medicine world, they're coming out of like 20 doctors telling them there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with them. It's in their head. It's, you know, that they don't know that gluten is that big of an issue. They don't know that dairy is that big an issue. They don't, eggs can be really good for you unless they're not, so the idea, like, we think it's going to be so hard or so, you know, most clients really need the basics because we're not taught, like, we don't have, this society isn't about being well, it's about being not sick. Okay, so if you're not sick, like if you're not on an operating table, you're fine, and just the whole mindset of like, no, no, I actually want you to feel great. People know how to get there at all. They've never been told how to get there. And so, and it's funny. So, this is why I talk about TikTok. I can't even tell you how many times, what's so gratifying. Literally, people say to me, like, they'll watch one of my videos and they'll leave a comment, I am crying because I found you. Like, and it just like, I've had people message me saying, I'm eating the way you suggested. I've been eating this way for 10 days. I've already lost 6 pounds. Like, I downloaded your plan. People, I mean, I've literally received, I've only been on TikTok like 6 or 7 weeks. And people are like, I've downloaded it and already, like, I don't have stomach pains after every meal. Like, I didn't even know. Um, so, it just is so gratifying. And it's funny, I had this whole back and forth argument with the doctor. And I am not anti-doctor at all. Like I told you, I'm a science nerd, right? I believe evidence-based medicine and so on. Also, though, you and I know a lot of people come to us after the doctors have been like, your test is
Everything's
normal, you're fine.
Yep.
It's in your head. Just exercise more and eat less. You're a hypochondriac. You need antidepressants and anti-anxiety. And you know what? If you do, that's totally appropriate. But if you have a thyroid issue, antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine aren't going to help. It's a thyroid issue, or, I mean, people heartbroken because they can't get pregnant, or they're just, whatever it is, and the doctors are done with them. And so this doctor was sort of saying, you're giving people, they should go to a doctor. I was like, are you kidding me? They're coming to me after the doctor. Like, the doctor doesn't want to see them anymore. The doctor told them they're fine. The doctor is the one who won't run the tests or won't up the medication or won't talk to them about lifestyle, who's never even indicated that lifestyle has anything to do with their illness. And they are shocked when they learn that they can do something themselves. So, it's so, people are coming to us and they're like, they're just so happy to find somebody who will listen and
Yep.
who also respects them enough to say, I'm not going to heal you. I'm going to hand you the tools because
Yep.
you're going to heal you. And they're like, what? You mean you're not going to patronize me and insult me? And, no. I'm just going to partner with you. I'm going to help you. Um, so that's another thing I think as a health coach, I don't think I realized. I thought, I need to have all the answers. No, no, no. They've been to the doctors and the doctors claim to have all the answers. They don't want that. They want somebody sympathetic and they want somebody who's going to guide them and maybe give them some answers or at least some insight. But really what they want is insight and guidance, not all the answers. And
That's,
that is amazing.
that's such, I mean, you've dropped so many, it's not even like value bombs. I mean, things that are such that like aha realization that you have at different times in your business where you see that you've changed somebody's life. I mean, I was just saying to my husband yesterday, because a client who was one of my first clients, he called yesterday and said, I'm having these issues right now. Do you remember when I came to you and I was able to only eat 3 foods? And we worked together for like 6 months. He's like, I got healthy to be able to go to London, for this internship. And I sat there and was saying to my husband, when you touch one person's life and you really just show up, it really is all the fuel for like, you can say, I don't even know what my program is going to be, but I can guarantee that, I'm going to figure it out and we're going to co-partner and I'm going to be there with you so that you don't feel that massive overwhelm, and hand you these tools so that you learn how to navigate. And then if there are additional steps, we separate, of course, because you need to go to somebody else, but that you have been given every tool that you could humanly be given to make those changes for self.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so powerful and so it's funny because like I said when I was doing the TikTok videos, I mean, I should tell them like the moral of the story or like the punchline here. I had 60 people on Super Bowl Sunday, and within 2 weeks, I kid you not, I think it was like maybe 2.5 weeks, I had 16,000 followers on TikTok. Because and I figured out the algorithm a little bit, and but it's not like I'm some genius at it. It's just, people were desperate for it. I figured out like my voice. I'm not trying to be this person or that. There's somebody like there's one woman she's lovely. She's like 25-year-old nutrition student. She has like 430,000 followers. More power to her. I'm like, great. And she also talks about a lot about hormone stuff. Like she's younger. She's talking about fertility and menstruation. Great. Like that's fantastic. And if that's your thing, I'm not competing with her. Like we're different people. She literally could be my child. Like we're in a different life. Like we're in a different stage of life, and that's fine. And that's great. And so the idea that we're like somehow competing, like that's not. I just figured out like I should take that back. I did not figure out like how to speak because it wasn't that calculated. It's only 60 seconds, and I'm like, what do I want to say? I'm like, what's the stupid? Somehow I just got I was really annoyed one day. I don't even know how I came up with this, and I'm like, stupid ass things that doctors tell women with hypothyroidism, like that, that their labs are normal. Like, first of all, the ranges they're using are out of date, and they need to look at your symptoms. And any idiot could read a lab sheet. But what about just like kind of went off. I don't even know what pissed me off that day. People love that video because like
it just shows your true personality. I mean, I think I would say for anyone listening, I love that. I love your excitement because I remember when I did my first challenge and I said to my husband, oh my God, like there are 300 people in this group. Like, and I was like peeing in my pants, said no virtual assistant, didn't know how to upload something to Dropbox. I mean, when I tell you was delinquent, used Eventbrite because I didn't even know how to hyperlink an image. I was like, that's when I say, like, I think you're my spirit animal sister, because it just gets to the point where you're like, enough is enough. If somebody is like me, who is in this struggle at different times in my life, like you even said, these 20 years plus of experience, it's like you sit there and you say, I'm going to show up in the way that I know I need to, these little clips that show me. And then I think really also these lives that you're doing in a space that does work for you.
Yeah, and it doesn't, again, not everybody has to do TikTok. This is just one that speaks to me. But yeah, the biggest thing, I mean, it really is give it away. I mean, just give it away because again, it's not the knowledge that they're coming for. It's you that, what we're selling with coaching is you, right? It's not, oh, what if I give them all this? Then again, the knowledge is there. If they could have done it on their own, they would have done it on their own.
Yeah.
They're coming to you because they want a guide, and that's the unique sauce that you have. Nobody is going to do it the way you do it. Nobody has your experience. Nobody has your interpretation. Nobody. And in fact, when people are like, I need to hide behind what I learned and be like, that's when you do come across as generic because you're just spouting literally what was in your textbook. And so is every other person who graduated from your class.
Yeah.
Whereas you're like, well, here's how this makes sense to me. Well, now that's your sauce. Now that's you. It's your recipe. Nobody else has that. That flavor. And that was what was so. And I realized part of the reason why I chose Hashimoto's is I realized for me, I could be most authentic. That doesn't mean that you have to have the illness to do it. But for me personally, I knew I could be authentic with talking about that because I mean, maybe next year it'll be something else. I don't know, 2 years from 10 years from now, maybe I'll decide to change. But for me to begin, I just knew I could show up extremely authentically saying, yeah, here's how I got rid of those symptoms. Here's how I stopped reacting to the food I ate. Here's what I'm not telling you to do anything I wouldn't be willing to do myself. Here's my vitamins, here's my smoothie, here's
step into my life.
Yeah. So that I think helped me a lot.
For everyone who, of course, has to follow you, because I know that I look at your TikTok, I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I'm doing that. Oh my God. And that's, I think what we don't realize is it was your video where you were like, this is me. I'm drinking water for 30 minutes. And I had to say to myself, I don't think I'm doing that. Am I drinking coffee too early? And you were like, no coffee, no this. And I was like, damn it, even though I know that, I'm not doing it.
I was like, yep, I'm just drinking. This is me doing my thyroid meds. Yep.
That's exactly it. And it was at that moment that I was like, and this is why I would hire her.
And that actually was before, like I had one that got bigger. That at first was my most popular video. Because people ask all the time, how should I take my thyroid meds? And I'm like, I just do it with salt, and I do lemon water and salt in the morning.
So I think of you literally each morning because of that video. Like this morning, I was like, hold it for Danielle, 30 minutes. I mean, literally, I had to put a stopwatch. So I appreciate it. What's your TikTok name so anyone can, of course, follow?
So on TikTok and on Instagram, I am Thyroid Coach Danielle. So it's thyroid.coach.danielle, but if you search for that, you will find me, Thyroid Coach Danielle.
Well, lady, you seriously, we had our little snafu of connection. I think you froze at a bunch of different times, but I would say this has been amazing. And I think it's such a testimony to like, keep going with the show. Like, even when you have a little blip, it's like, keep going, move on.
Exactly. People aren't here for like the fancy show. They're here for you. That's what we keep saying, right? Don't worry.
They're here for the real talk. Well, thank you. I really, not only do I appreciate you, but I appreciate the clarity and you sharing like such massive transparency because that is something I don't think we see enough of. We sit there as the coach and think, how am I going to do this? And we don't see how much of that struggle, not even struggle, but that like, what am I going to do? And this lack of, I don't know what to do on this platform, but not getting stuck in that. And like you were saying, you're like, well, I'm just going to commit to this date. Like, just.
I don't even know. I'm going to write the email the night before.
And I think that's such a thing that everyone needs to hear because there aren't so many hours in the day. And you really have to be, when you want to get paying clients, you really have to commit to holding yourself accountable to those things that you did. So I adore you. Thank you so much.
So Grace, thank you. Thank you. I adore what you're doing. It's been so valuable to me. So thank you. Thank you everybody who's watching and hope on various, whatever platforms you're on.
I'm telling you, follow her TikTok videos because I will say, I'll look at them. They are really good.
They're fun to do. I like doing them.
All right, lady.
My daughter will teach me a dance and I'll do the little dance too.
Well, see, that's the thing is I keep saying to my daughter, will you teach me? And then I said to my son's friends, I'm like, I think I need you guys to come over and just show me everything.
That's so funny.
All right. Well, lady, thank you for taking time on your Sunday. Really, really means a lot. All right. Mwah. Bye.